What's going on, YouTube? My name is Kayla Haley, and I am excited that you're back. All two subscribers of you. If you're new, obviously this is a new channel, so please go ahead and subscribe and like. Hit that notification bell as well so that you know when any of new videos are being published. Um, it has been a long day. I got back from a meeting earlier today. Did some collaboration with one of my cryptocurrency investors. Um, but you know, good thing to talk about is constantly having multiple streams of income. But that's not what this video is about. So if you want to hear about that, like I said, subscribe. We can talk about that later on. But today we're going to be talking about how I was able to make $15,000, land a $15,000 client for a one-time cost, doing their branding and their website, as well as a $5,000 a month contract with the same client to run and manage their social media marketing, their digital marketing in general. So I'll just kind of give you guys some background. I took Jordan Steen's marketing course earlier this year in May. If you've watched any of my other videos, you can kind of get some background on what my experience was like. It's a great course. But in the process, just learning, taking the time to really learn, understand what all was included in actually becoming successful. Because you get these videos on YouTube that say, oh man, I landed, $50,000 last month, and you're like, okay, how did you do that? And so, this video is really to help demystify and kind of get behind the curtain on how that actually happens. And so, my process, my story ended up taking about 4 or 5 months for me to land my first client. And before I was actually doing digital marketing, I was doing temp jobs because I knew that I wanted to do it, but I didn't want to have the obligation of an actual career in order to get started. And so I landed my first $15,000 client back in early October. And again, that was for their branding and marketing. And how I did that was honestly just by building a relationship. There's so many steps and so many each sales cycle is going to be different. But in general, how it went was one, I created a proposal. First of all, let me take a step back. The first thing I did was I identified my target audience. And so whatever niche you're in, you got to determine for yourself what kind of target audience you want to be working with. The second thing that I did was I created an online digital audit for them. And you can see that right here. The glare is a little bit crazy, right? So created an audit for them and took it in physically. Like, I drove in my car and I went down to the dealership and I got out of my car and then I asked for the GM of the dealership and I said, "Hi, my name is Kayla Haley. I own a digital marketing agency. I'd like to speak to your GM, Mr. X, Y, and Z." Was, got to meet the guy. Everything seemed gravy. And then right as I was about to close this deal with this guy, he gets fired. Right? Plot twist. He gets fired. And it's like, oh my gosh, what the heck? Did you not know you were going to get fired? Did you just string me along this whole time? Maybe he didn't know he was going to get fired. But he ended up getting fired, and I can't get a hold of anyone at the company, and I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, like my first deal just completely like slipped out of my hands. And so what ended up happening is I was in communication with both the GM and the marketing director. And now the marketing director, we had like great vibes. We were, he just basically just loved what I was, educating them on. And, just personality wise, I think we really vibed. And basically, he was like, "Hey, I'm so sorry." He ended up leaving the company as well. He's like, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I have this other startup that I think you would be great to work with us on, and we're not ready to, you know, buy your services right now. But once we get the investment funds, you're my first call." And so I was like, okay, sure, But, like respectfully and with a smile on my face, I was like, yeah, thank you so much for considering me. Maybe I'll try to work it out with the new management of this dealership. And that didn't work out at all. And so a good 2 months go by, and I'm just working at this temp job, and I'm like all depressed, like, oh my gosh, my deal slipped away from me. And then who do I get a call from? I get a call from the marketing director, and he tells me, "Hey, Kayla, we just got some investment money, and we need to get a website built like yesterday." And I was like, "Okay, let's set up a meeting with you and the CEO of the startup." So we met, and things were going well. And I, presented, talked about, some of the things that I do, got some more information about what they needed and when they needed it done by. Um, and then another month passed by. And let me just tell you, companies are slow, right? When you are in a company, and the bigger you are, the slower you are. And in a lot of ways, sometimes the newer you are, the slower you can be as well, because you're always second guessing yourself. Am I making the right decision? Am I being wise with the finances that I already do have? And so, long story short, after a month, 3 weeks actually, 3 weeks after I gave them their proposal, they finally signed it. And so I was like, wow, okay, is this, how this relationship is going to go moving forward? And in some ways, yes. But I'll tell you why. I think the reason why that they have, in some ways, been very slow to get results from, um, has been because they are so new and because the relationship is so fresh. Even though we've now worked together for, I mean, it's not a long time, but we've worked together, been in communication for about 3 or 4 months. And the tricky part about all of this is that the better the relationship is, and the more times that let's say you have a deadline. Like, for example, I have an entire execution timeline for both the branding and the website that I've created for them. And every time that you send them a deliverable on time or early, and preferably you do it early, it adds a deposit into that relationship account, right? You're putting a deposit into that account. And the more they feel like, oh, wow, I can put more of my trust, I can invest more trust into you, which translates into how much money they continue to put into your company, because they know that they're going to get what they paid for. And so when they feel like they can put more, they can invest more of their trust into you and into your relationship, it's easier to make the next sale. And so I actually now currently have a $5,000 a month retainer with the same company. And so over the span of, that first 4 months that I was trying to get a client, and then the next month that I waited for them to actually sign the proposal, the first investment and in the first amount of money that they signed with me was $15,000. And then after that proof of concept to prove that we had a good working relationship, because that's a part of it. It doesn't end when they sign the contract. They have to still continue to like you. That's huge. Even if you can do the work, but if you're like a jerk about how you do the work or perform with them, or if you're stingy in wanting to communicate with your clients, you're in client services. You have to serve the client in the same way that whenever you send some, angry email over to Amazon, like, you guys didn't get my 2-day shipping done right, I'm going to go to somewhere else, you're now Amazon. So you have to treat your clients with respect. You have to invest in them. And a lot of time that takes time. It's not just, sending someone else to do the job. And when they signed with you, they want to speak to you. Until you're able to afford to hire someone new into your company, who can be a proxy to who you are, um, a lot of times, again, in order to really keep that relationship strong, they need to be talking to you. Um, and so now, after that, this past month and the $15,000 I was able to make with them, now I have a monthly retainer with this company as well. And so that's and my contracts are 1 year long, and so that's a $60,000 contract. And so in the first year, in spending a month or so, waiting and being patient for this deal to come through, that's a $75,000, annual deal. And so it's important for, you guys, again, to be patient. One of the things I talked about in my video yesterday. And again, patient with yourself, but also patient with your prospects. So I hope this video helped. I want to hear from you guys. What have been some of your experiences? Are you currently making money as an entrepreneur, whether that is, with social media marketing, whether that's with, cryptocurrencies, whether that's with affiliate marketing, whatever you do. I just want to hear what kind of journey you guys are on as well, so we can kind of all be in this together. So remember, subscribe, like this video if it was helpful to you. And then feel free to reach out if you guys have further questions. Again, you can message me on Facebook Messenger, facebook.com/Kayla Haley. So I look forward to hearing from you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.